Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for those who have been my continued followers, I want to thank you. And I try to come up with interesting storylines for these videos that would make you scratch your head and or come up with some resolutions for changing and making this world a better place. And I got one that's been rumbling for a while that was taking place right out in the open in New York City with Mayor Eric Adams. They had and have Queens Brothels. It's called the Red Light District. It's been there for over 20 years on Roosevelt Avenue, called the Avenue of Sweethearts in Jackson Heights. And I've been planning on doing this video, and now what I've just read and heard was that they had a crackdown on closing many of these brothels. So they're right there in Queens. There are over a dozen brothels, massage parlors, where women, especially foreign women, were standing outside soliciting men to come in for a massage and a so-called happy ending. Kids going to school, walking to and from school, are seeing these young ladies just fully in indiscriminate clothes and standing there trying to solicit men. This is taking place right in America in 2024. And supposedly this has been going on for over 20 years. And being a gentleman that's in his mid-50s, you always heard about places in Tijuana, Amsterdam, various places throughout the world where prostitution can be legal or is legal, but you never thought about it being right here under our nose in America. And with all that taking place, and now New York City is a sanctuary city, and there are thousands and thousands of foreign, Venezuelan, Hispanic, Mexican individuals that are coming into this country and into New York, barely speaking English, really don't have any real skill set to apply to the workforce. They were being recruited to work in these brothels as they became desperate because they're not in the system as a U.S. citizen yet to fully be vetted and work a real job. So these brothels have been in New York for over 20 years, right in the open. I was not aware of it. And now we have this migrant influx in New York City that's decimating New York City. Mayor Eric Adams says he does not want any more migrants and that they have a state of emergency there, same way in Chicago, Illinois, under Mayor Brandon Johnson. But supposedly the police began investigating 12 commercial locations posing as massage parlors on Roosevelt Avenue, a major commercial corridor, due to allegations of illegal prostitution activity happening there. The investigations led to undercover New York NYPD officers entering the storefronts on various dates recently where women agreed to perform sex acts in exchange for a fee. The unsightly conditions included a long row of filthy beds within the brothels, each separated only by curtains. And of course, we know that in Las Vegas, not in the city of Las Vegas, but the surrounding area, prostitution is legal there. But you're having this right in the heart in Queens, New York, where kids can see this. The moral corruption and the degradation is taking place for these young ladies participating in this activity, and for other young people, boys and girls, business owners, to see this taking place right in broad daylight tells you that the political offices there in New York City were not paying attention to their patrons and their citizens living in these different boroughs. Local business owners were frustrated with the fact that they have to walk these streets and see what's happening out here in the open. I mean, it was just completely out in the open. Nobody was hiding it at all. No arrests were made during the series of shutdowns, noting that the efforts are not meant to target the sex workers. So the young ladies that were working in these brothels did not get arrested, and hopefully they'll get them some training and into the social services piece of the government to help them restore their lives back to a healthy condition. And they closed these brothels under the nuisance abandonment law. So business owners are upset about it, parents, and it has been going on for 2 decades, and New York City had done nothing about it until now, which tells you that if that's going on or had been going on, New York City is the last place that needed to bring a migrant crisis to the city. Many of these cities need to take care of the citizens that already live there and are taxpayers. And now bringing this high influx of migrants who have not been vetted, living in schools, hotels, it has placed a heavy burden on the economic structure of New York City and Chicago. And if they don't get these migrants help, desperation will kick in, and situations like this brothel deal will continue to take place. And I've been talking about in many of my videos about mental health issues, the opioid crisis, which has increased the level of street prostitution all across our country. Just look at Figueroa in LA, they call it Fig. There are women that are walking up and down the streets with hardly anything on in broad daylight, and the police aren't doing anything. And you have Aurora Avenue in Seattle, Washington, that's been decimated with prostitutes and people street walking up and down those streets. Chicago, on the west side of Chicago, near L-Town and K-Town, many other streets that are named after past presidents, Washington Avenue. There have been tons of young ladies that are coming from the west suburbs to get drugs and have ended up staying there in the city. I'm originally from Chicago, and I've never seen such a high volume of white females in an all-black community that are walking around the west side of Chicago like zombies. So due to the drug epidemic, the opioid crisis, you're seeing a much higher influx of homelessness, joblessness, prostitution, and it is decimating and destroying our moral and ethical fabric that we're trying to sustain in America. America has to get a handle on this opioid crisis, mental health issues, homelessness, joblessness, and try to make America a much better, upstanding citizenship in our middle class and lower middle class. We are being decimated by the opioid crisis, and prostitution goes hand in hand with it. And so I mentioned Seattle, there's Arizona, Figueroa in LA, the west side of Chicago. You're seeing Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia is a zombie zone where they are the leading opioid place in America. Kensington Avenue, look it up. There are people walking around like zombies using what's called Trank, which is a horse tranquilizer, flesh-eating drug that is destroying folks, along with fentanyl, heroin, crack, and all the other ones. So I'm glad that New York City made a decision to be proactive in shutting down these brothels that were taking place in Queens. They have been there forever. The politicians and the law enforcement folks had to have been aware of this going on. If the neighbors and the people in the community know what's going on, the police definitely knows what's going on. And that applies to murders, drug dealers, and anything else. If you're hearing things through the rumor mill in your community, the police already know it, with surveillance cameras, with confidential informants patrolling the area. What did the New York City police think when they would patrol Roosevelt Avenue and they saw this? Saw these young ladies in front of these massage parlors? So they had to have been known. So for whatever reason, the trigger got pulled by Mayor Eric Adams to shut these brothels down is a good thing. And doing a video about it and letting you know it was happening right in the heart of New York City is just unbelievable. They were treating the red light district in Queens like it was Amsterdam. Of course, we have the passage of these marijuana laws and tons of dispensaries. We have to, and tons of liberal laws that are being passed. We have to figure out, where in the world is America going in the future? Are we headed towards complete abomination, demonic forces? If you're a Bible reader, is this the end of time, end of days? Which way and what direction are we going in? We have a plethora of kids that are reading 2 and 3 grades below their grade level. Very few people are wanting to go to college or get a trade. Everybody's chasing the bag by any means necessary, and we're going to lose an entire generation of folks. And then don't forget artificial intelligence and the advancements of computer technology. The world is moving at a much faster pace than when I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. And there are going to be tons of people that are going to be left behind. But I did this video because the oldest profession in the history of mankind is supposed to be prostitution. If women can't find any other way to find work, then they can always go to that, the good old golden egg between their legs. And that is unfortunate. And with the opioid crisis, you're seeing more and more people ending up homeless on the streets and doing whatever they can to survive. In Arizona, as I stated, in Seattle, Washington is being decimated. Kensington, Philadelphia. We have to have more videos and more people talking about changing this narrative and restoring our humanity and our humanness in each other, and trying to advance this world one person at a time with hope. HOPE, help one person every day. So I want to thank you all who've been following the Trevor Donald Experience. I tried to provide a little intellectual commentary that makes some kind of common sense with a legal slant. And the more we talk about the things that are destroying our country and coming up with some resolutions, hopefully we can make it better one person at a time, and not just depend on Washington, D.C. or our federal government to restore us back to health, because our government is failing us. Manifest your truth. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. See you next time.